Next baseball topic on the table. This is nonstop baseball talk right now.
Yeah, it is. Juan Soto. I mean, this guy's going to make bank, isn't he?
Oh, he's going to bank. There's no doubt about it. I think the burning question is, what kind of guy is going to the bank? That's the big issue. They've completed the first round of meetings with 6 different teams. Soto, now a week into free agency, has spent the entire week in Newport Beach with agent Scott Boras. The Yankees met with him. Hal Steinbrenner and his crew, led by Brian Cashman, came and spent 4 hours. It is interesting, though, because the inside baseball sources who have links to Steinbrenner are reporting the meeting was honest and the meeting was blunt. I said, wow. And I asked somebody in New York what the word blunt might mean as it relates to the Soto scenario. They're willing to pay Soto $40 million per year over an extended contract. They're not willing to go beyond that because that badly impacts their ability to go get other free agents, because Steinbrenner does not want to get back into this massive luxury tax thing. Scott Boras is only interested in 2 things: biggest volume dollars and highest seasonal average.
Right.
That's all he wants. Steinbrenner's also got to do a balancing act here. He historically has paid mega money. Garrett Cole, Aaron Judge. Steinbrenner, though, has to answer the question, are you going to give Soto more than you've given Aaron Judge? Soto's only been there 1 year, and Judge has had 3 straight 50-plus home run seasons and has become an icon and a really big citizen in doing stuff in the Big Apple in the community. So you're going to give Soto more than Judge, and Soto's only been there for a baseball season? Interesting. Met with the Mets. Steve Cohen, 5-man committee. They sales pitch Soto on who they are, what they've represented. By the way, it's the #1 market in Major League Baseball. And it's not just about your salary. It's going to be about all the endorsements if you become a megastar. And they talked about their history of player development and all the things the Mets have done going all the way back into the 1960s. I was told it was an impressive Mets sales pitch. And it's Steve Cohen, who's like your wife. Money's no problem.
Yeah, right.
In the checking account. Cohen's
right.
going to make the big price. They met with the Red Sox. They brought all the heavy hitters led by Tom Werner, the CEO, Sam Kennedy, the president, their new general manager, and their manager flew in. They presented a portfolio. I've told the story often when Scott Boras goes to meet with you. 200-page portfolio about my client. I mean, it's got every conceivable statistic. Red Sox presented a portfolio of who they are, who they've signed, who they drafted, who they developed, and by the way, the history of Red Sox baseball going back to Ted Williams in 1941. I was told it was a really impressive pictorial portfolio of Fenway Park. So that's interesting. Red Sox are obviously a player. The Dodgers had their meeting. It was rather just businesslike. All they needed to do was walk through the door, flash their World Series ring that they'd won a couple years ago, and understand what the next World Series ring is going to look like. They sales pitched Soto about the Dodger history, quote, the Dodger way of developing players through their farm system. The difference is the Dodgers are not willing to go more than 10 years. And even though Soto says, I'm not taking any Ohtani deferral money, I want every penny paid as the contract goes on, the Dodgers are willing to give him opt-outs. Come here for the first 5. And if you want to opt out and be a free agent again at age 31, we'll give you that leverage. So that makes it's a safety catch for the Dodgers. If he doesn't work out, he can opt out. Or if he does well, he can still opt out and get a payday. But the Dodgers are not on a hook for a 10-year and they're not going to give him a 13-year contract. The wild card one is the Philadelphia Phillies. They introduced how they've spent money in the last decade when they become a marquee franchise in the National League. They got an issue, though. You got Soto going back to National League again. But you're going to pay Soto more than Bryce Harper, who's become the cornerstone personality of the franchise, who took less money, even though he was a Boras client, took less money to go to Philadelphia to leave money on the table so the Phillies could go get that pitching staff signed. So you're going to pay Soto more than Harper, considering what Harper did on behalf of the organization. So there's so many moving parts to this whole thing. And then to throw this out there, the New York Post, which does a lot of investigative reporting, wrote a story that Soto cold-shouldered a lot of people in the Yankee clubhouse during the course of the season, to the point it became a turnoff, even though he was having a great year. That everything that going on in Soto's galaxy was about Soto. It was about his business of baseball, insinuating he wasn't really a team guy. He was non-caring. There was no bonding. There was standoffish. And every time he spoke, it was like Scott Boras's junk was coming out of his mouth. So the New York Post, which does a lot of tabloid stuff, of the opinion, yeah, he's a talent, but is he a team guy? So I don't know if they're laying the foundation for a Yankee fan if Soto goes somewhere else. So, John, that's why I spent the whole bloody week. That's why I didn't talk to you all week, because I've been chasing all
Yeah,
the
you have.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I just gave you details of the 5 to 6 teams that had the meetings and your responses.
Okay, there's a definitely different angles. First of all, I cannot blame Juan Soto at all for trying to get the most amount of money
You're
he
a
can.
flipping capitalist.
Of
I
course
understand
I
that.
am. And he should be able to cash in. But you need to do it with the right attitude. You got to be able to. It's not like it's all about me. It has to be win-win, right? It's got to be good for you and good for the organization and your teammates. It's got to be win-win. And Juan Soto doesn't seem like he thinks that way. This aloofness or standoffness, I mean, we saw that in San Diego.
You think?
Yeah. So, it's funny, though, how we all kind of assumed, the Yankees for sure, they're the ones that are going to get it, but maybe not. Maybe not.
All right, I'll just ask you quickly. You're Hal Steinbrenner. Would you pay him more after 1 year than you pay Aaron Judge?
Yeah. Yeah. The market's different this year than it was last year or the year before. So he should command top dollar and get what he can. I mean, you could make an argument that maybe he should make as much as $70 million. I mean, that's what Ohtani's getting every year on a deferral.
Okay. You're the New York Mets. Money is no object to Steve Cohen. You have no problem with that.
Well, it's Cohen's money. If he wants to spend it on this guy, go for it. And I hope it ruins the Mets and they get saddled with a contract for 10 years. I mean, just let him go and get his money.
Okay, so where does history and legacy of clubs come into this play?
He doesn't care about that.
Fenway Park, Dodger Way, who the Phillies are, what they be. You're not paying any attention. You're negotiating the contract. You're taking the contract. You're going to sign your name on the contract. You don't care about that.
No. See, like if Juan Soto doesn't care about any of that, he doesn't care about history and who's that they've signed and everything else. He just says, "Show me the money." Now, I said his attitude is wrong. I mean, he's got to be looking for a win-win. I'm not sure he's willing to find the right compromise.
What do you think about the New York Post story? Cold shoulder.
Confirms what we already know.
Okay. That's where we are. You're a baseball fan. You dive into the middle of this. I'll tell you, I wrote a column about this week on my website. It's so hard to be a general manager right now, dealing with that player, the free agency, the luxury tax, the pressure from the fans, the demands of the media for information.
Yeah.
AJ Preller, how do you like your damn job now?
Yeah, well, he's getting paid too.
Well, that's true. Okay, all things baseball. You got an opinion on Soto, the player, Soto, the person. Hey, that's why we're doing Fans Forum. That's why we added this to the content on this podcast. Can I fill up this chat box with opinions on the Yankees, Soto, and free agency?